Hello, this is Rex. This is my first program on my new YouTube channel called Rex Recites. And what I will be doing for the next several months is reciting poetry of all kinds, different kinds of poetry from all around the world. I've spent 24 years of my 90-year life in the country of England, and my first two poems today are going to be from there. In the northern part of England, there is a county which is better known as the Lake District because it has a lot of hills and valleys and streams and waterfalls and lakes. About 150 or more lakes in that county. And it takes a lot of rain to keep this many water features in operation. This little poem called Lake District Magic must come under the heading of anonymous authorship, because even though I did some work on it myself, I did inherit the skeleton outline of it. So anyway, Lake District Magic. It rained and rained and rained and rained. The copious fall was well maintained. And when the trails were simply bogs, it started raining cats and dogs. Then, after a drought of half an hour, we had a most refreshing shower. Then, the strangest thing of all, a gentle rain began to fall. Next day was also fairly dry, save for a deluge from the sky that soon soaked us to the skin. And after that, the rain set in. Now that you have an idea of how much rain falls in the Lake District, I'm going to treat you to what I call a knock your socks off poem. It's a description of a waterfall in the Lake District. It's called The Cataract of Lodore, written by Robert Southey, who was poet laureate at the time. He wrote the poem in 1820. So it's entitled The Cataract of Lodore. There are two words I must define in this poem that probably are unfamiliar to you. The word fell, F-E-L-L, is a mountainside. And the word tarn, T-A-R-N, is a spring. How does the water come down at Lodore? My little boy asked me thus once on a time. And moreover he tasked me to tell him in rhyme. Anon, at his word, there first came one daughter, and then came another, to second and third the request of their brother, to hear how the water comes down at Lodore with its rush and roar, as many a time they had seen it before. So I told in rhyme, for of rhymes I had store, and so 'twas in my vocation for their recreation that so I should sing, because I was laureate to them and the king. From its sources which well in the tarn and the fell, from its fountains in the mountains, its rills and its gills, through moss and through brake it runs, and it creeps for a while till in its own little lake. And thence at departing, awakening and starting, it runs through the reeds, and away it proceeds, through meadow and glade, in sun and in shade, through the wood shelter, among crags in its flurry, helter-skelter, hurry-scurry. Now here it comes sparkling, and there it lies darkling, now smoking and frothing its tumult and wrath till, in this rapid race on which it is bent, it reaches the place of its steep descent. The cataract strong then plunges along, striking and raging as if a war waging, its caverns and rocks among, rising and leaping, sinking and creeping, swelling and sweeping, showering and springing, flying and flinging, writhing and ringing, eddying and whisking, twisting, turning and twisting around and around with endless rebound, smiting and fighting, a sight to delight in, confounding, astounding, dizzying, and deafening the air with its sound. Collecting, projecting, receding and speeding, and shocking and rocking and darting and parting, and threading and spreading and whizzing and hissing, and dripping and skipping, and hitting and splitting and shinning and twiddling, and rattling and battling and shaking and quaking, and waving and raving and pouring and roaring, and tossing and crossing and flowing and going, and running and stunning and dinning and spinning and dropping and hopping and working and jerking and guggling and struggling and heaving and cleaving and moaning and groaning and glittering and frittering and gathering and feathering and whitening and brightening and quivering and shivering and hurrying and scurrying. Dividing and gliding and sliding and falling and brawling and sprawling and diving and writhing and striving and sprinkling and twinkling and winkling and sounding and bounding and rounding and bubbling and troubling and doubling and grumbling and rumbling and tumbling and clattering and battering and shattering. Retreating and beating and meeting and cheating, delaying and spraying and straying and playing, advancing and prancing and glancing and dancing, recoiling, tomorling, and toiling and boiling and gleaming and streaming and steaming and beaming and rushing and flushing and brushing and gushing and flapping and rapping and clapping and slapping and curling and whirling and purling and twirling and thumping and plumping and bumping and jumping and dashing and flashing and clashing and splashing. And so, never ending, but always descending, sounds and motions forever and ever are blending, all at once and all o'er with a mighty uproar. And this way the water comes down at the door. This is Rex signing off from Rex Recites, and if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please do so below, and I will give you 10 seconds to put your socks back on. Bye.